Okay. Now this is really something, because for all of you students of how to write, make, create a hit, it's all very well talking about the business, but when it comes to being there in the room where you come up with the chords, the music, the melodies, the songs, there are very few that can really do it with class, with success, and with consistency. So, first of all, we've got something really, really interesting. Here you saw on the slide there, but we've brought all the way from Sweden two great writers and a wonderful, wonderful artist from Indonesia. So we'll first of all introduce Shakira. You can see Shakira's picture there on the slide. And then to introduce you, of course, to Iggy Strange Dahl. Iggy Strange Dahl.
It's actually Strange, but I'm not that strange.
Strange. Very good. And you're from Stockholm?
Yeah, we're based in Stockholm.
And then, of course, Johan Gustafsson.
Yes, and I'm also based in Stockholm.
Also based in Stockholm. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, why this is such an important session is that these two guys are part of a wonderful, wonderful team of creatives in Stockholm, in Sweden, called the Kennel. So, who let the dogs in, not who let the dogs out. That didn't even get a reaction.
Oh, it's horrible.
I was thinking maybe, that was a line that maybe, because the song was so great.
I think it was a good one.
It was a good one. But so why we're doing this is, when you look at K-pop and the way that K-pop has developed, do any of you realize that the Korean industry went to Sweden to try and find some of the best songwriters to come up with songs that could be worked with Korean artists? And some of the big K-pop hits came from Sweden. And of course, you look at the heritage of Sweden, 60 years ago, ABBA wrote some incredible material, but in the modern era, these two guys on the stage here right now with me have been responsible for developing some amazing, amazing material. Is it true that you've had 150 to 200 number ones?
At the Kennel, not me personally, but the Kennel, yes.
The Kennel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And Iggy, just tell us a little bit about the background to the Kennel, and also how you are really a song factory, but doing it in such an incredibly smart way.
Yeah, we started in Japan in early 2005, maybe 2006. We went to Korea 2010, had a SM coming to Stockholm, had a lot of songs writing it during 1 week. And then we have just went on. We did China 2011, we went to Indonesia in 2013, and it just went on. Everybody saw that it's working, and we're doing something right. If it's the melodies or if it's the Swedish mentality, I don't know. But it's been a journey, and it just goes on. Now we're even with Shakira.
We're going to talk about Shakira in just a minute, but Johan, you're a producer, you're a writer, you're a songsmith, as they sometimes call them. But what I'm trying to get a sense of is the way that the Kennel works, because effectively you come up as like a creative fire pit of coming up with great stuff. So give us your most recent examples of some hits that you've had in Asia, but particularly with yourself as a writer and producer. Just tell us the way that you think. What is the seed that starts the process that gets the hit?
Oh, the hit. I talked about this yesterday as well, that I think the seed to a hit song is to make something that no one else is doing. So trying to mimic what someone has already done that has become a hit doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
What you can do is mimic something that worked 30 years ago maybe and make that into something new.
Right.
But for me personally, yeah, currently, I think, #1 in Indonesia with Ronnie Perulian, which is very fun, with an
Just
album.
repeat that again. You're #1 with...
With this artist, Ronnie Perulian.
Oh, Ronnie Perulian.
Yeah, Ronnie
That's
Perulian.
exactly correct.
With his album, I did
Satu
a song.
Alajan?
Satu Alasan, yes.
Satu Alasan.
Alasam, exactly.
Incredible. #1 in Indonesia, only 250 million people in Indonesia. So that tells you, is that good or not good? No question.
So
No question.
and thank you. Yeah.
Iggy, this Ronnie Perulian, I mean, a major name and talent in Indonesia. When you were in the studio just thinking of what might work, and all of your experience of just thinking of the different cultural textures of Asia Pacific and the Asian countries, how do you come up with something that you feel is going to work in a large country like Indonesia? 14,000 islands, lots of music fans.
I think Johan is better to answer that, but I would say that our melody culture is a big thing. That's, but of course, we needed to do our lesson.
Also, you can't think, let's aim #1. You can't think, let's aim hit song.
Course, exactly.
It's more about just the feel in the room. When we did Room for Someone, which is our little baby that I love so much, that song started off just us sitting with a guitar.
Yeah.
And your blue guitar.
My blue
It's
guitar.
very cool guitar. And it went from one thing to another, and it might sound cliche, but we just get lost in the room every time. It doesn't matter how many times we do it. It's just, okay, we write another song, we have the most amazing time, and it's great fun. And then actually, this is work. This is going to be released. This is actually something that might be up on charts competing to other songs.
Right.
But we don't think about it, because I think the second you start thinking, you're going to lose that thing that puts you in a position.
But you need to learn the market. You need to understand like the difference between J-pop and K-pop. And when we went to
iPop.
everything, when you went to Thailand, went to Indonesia, Malaysia, there are like you can add what you're best in, but you need to understand what works and what the artist wants. But to have the artist in the room helps.
So, question for you. You worked with a Chinese artist called N. Lee, correct?
I did.
You did?
About 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he came to Stockholm, yes.
He came to Stockholm,
Yeah.
so that's an important artist in China that you worked with in Stockholm, to Sweden.
Yeah.
And he's not the first artist from Asia to come to Sweden, because effectively they want to come and be in the Kennel.
Yeah, and it's incredible to have people come to us. I mean, we love to travel, and we do it a lot.
Right.
But there's only that much you can travel in a year, and
Of course.
so it's always good when you have international people coming to us. We get to show them how we work. Also, there is a difference when someone comes to my setup, my studio, my instruments. I can show how I like to work. And we had Enli come in, and we just made 2 fantastic songs together that I think are very groundbreaking. And the cool thing about him, he didn't want to do anything that is charting or being hit songs at the moment. We wanted something very fresh. So, yeah, you have to keep your ears open and see if you...
So, Iggy, here's a question for you. You did something, the song title of which was called Cheetah Prince.
That was also me.
It was also you. Okay. So, Cheetah Prince. How many women here in the audience have worn a dress of a prince, a cheetah prince? There's one. She's very fashionable. Only one. How many guys here have worn cheetah prince?
I have.
You have?
I had it.
Yeah.
You look very fashionable.
John had one.
You do. Shakira, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so just tell us about that song, Cheetah Prince.
It's not a song that is out. It was a song that I wrote about maybe a month ago with a writer that we're working with. Her name is Lucy. She's from the Canary Islands, right? I think she's, yeah.
She sings like a bird.
She sings like a bird, and she speaks Spanish. And we were talking about how would it be to make a K-pop song and mix it with Spanish. So we started doing, okay, let's start the verse in English, then flip over to Spanish, English, Spanish, and then, yeah. And it turned out really, really cool, and it's one of my favorite songs.
Just hum a little bit of the chorus to us.
It's actually like a rap. So it's like a... with the cheetah princess, with the cheetah princess. Makes sense?
Makes absolute sense. What do you think? I mean, here you hear straight from the songwriter's mouth and vibe. I mean, this is the way that these things are constructed. You know, sometimes you think, how do you create a hit song that's going to work all across Asia?
You can catch me later and I can play a snippet of the demo on my phone instead.
That's it. So, Iggy, I wanted to ask you about just the way that you first started to work in Korea, then started to expand it into the other major markets in Asia, and how Indonesia was a focus of yours. How did you learn what might work in each of these different markets? Because they're not the same. Thailand is not Indonesia, and India and the other Asia countries, which obviously all that matters, has a major focus on these important part of the world with billions and billions of consumers and music fans there. Just give us some sense of...
I'll try to make it short.
Yes.
But like I said, we were lucky from the beginning to get into Japan. And really think that Swedes were early in Japan. And the J-pop, we were a big part of making the J-pop what it is today. And then we started with, we got SM Entertainment coming to Stockholm, as I think that was the first time that they collaborated with a Western company. So they came to Stockholm, all the A&Rs, and we had a camp for 5 days. We wrote I Got a Boy with Girls' Generation and lots more. And it just continues. So we did Japan, Korea. It was totally fantastic. Nobody in Sweden understand why we went to Japan or Korea. They were like, why? They were lining up outside the A&Rs and the labels in US. But we were happy. And then we came across, I think we started with Indonesia in 2013.
Wow.
With Sony Music. So they started to send Julius, was the MD then in this region. They started to send artists to Stockholm. Some of them stayed for a week, some of them stayed for 3-4 weeks, and they could come home with an album. And I don't know how you did it.
Just explain. So now they come to Sweden. You sit down with them in your studio. You've got this great studio, the Kennel studio. And what's the process? How do you start? First of all, the English might not be all that good. They have a translator with you in the studio, but how does it work?
Like Johan said, you just need to get the vibe.
Yeah.
You need to feel like this is nice. I'm not afraid of being here. And
it's weirdly enough not really any issue with language ever. I've done sessions in different countries where I remember one session particularly. I did it in Korea with a Korean writer. And we didn't have a translator, and she did not speak a word English. And we got a great song out of it because we just like, you're like, connect, like, how about, oh, no more, bam, chicka, dang, dang. Oh, okay, I understand. You get this word and this word. And the phrasing is the same. It's an international language, music. So, you know, once you get the flows and you get the grooves, and then it doesn't matter if it's Korean, if it's Spanish, Swedish, English, doesn't matter. So, of course, it sometimes helps to have someone to kind of explain, like, I want to have lunch now. but it's not necessary. You can do it. So, but for us, it's been like most of the people in Indonesia has been great at speaking English. So it's like, it's not that big of a difference, really. Right. Yeah.
So, Shakira, when did you start working with the Kennel?
I started working with the Kennel maybe a year ago. Yeah? A year ago, right? Yeah.
And what was the first thing that you started to work together on? Was it a song of yours or was it a song of theirs?
It was our song.
We wrote it together in the
room. Yeah, we wrote it together in
the
same session.
Yeah.
We actually wrote 2 songs in one go,
yeah, one day, yeah.
Yeah, it was really
Hugo Anderson.
Yeah, Hugo with Hugo Anderson.
Name him.
Yeah. Because I feel like to connect with people from all around the world, it only takes 3 things for me: love, food, and music.
Love, food, and music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so like with music, as Johan said earlier, you don't have to speak the language. You really have just to connect with them, and through music we can connect.
But Iggy, the rhythms and how you come up with a certain kind of beats that would work within the various markets. When you are writing the material, do you think, this is good for Indonesia, but I'm going to make it good for some of the other markets in Asia? Just give us a sense of how you frame these. I mean, you're effectively creating this.
Okay, so my approach is I'm approaching to international market.
Yeah.
As I'm saying, so I have a lot of English songs as well. And when I did the session with Johan, I feel like I'm blending the Indonesian roots that I have with alternative pop rock.
Right.
So yeah, we did some pretty great song, I think.
And then we did 2 versions. So there is a
Bahasa.
Bahasa. There is a Bahasa
version
of the song.
Bahasa version.
Yeah, there are 2 versions.
2 versions of my songs. Yeah.
And
how many of you in the audience understand Bahasa? There are a few, but
I think my team is one of them, because they're from Indonesia.
Such an important language, such a huge population in Indonesia, because you make impact there. But of course, Japan is also an important market for you to look at, as is Korea, of course, so key today in today's market. So, Iggy, just in terms of your own background and your history, I mean, you've been a songwriter for many years, and to have 150 to 200 major hits, I mean, that's really incredible. It's like Max Martin from Sweden, the writer who wrote a lot of the Britney Spears hits or other very big hits, even Backstreet Boys, even Taylor Swift went to Max Martin. There's this history in Sweden of really coming up with great compositions.
Yeah, people ask, what do you have in your water? Because there's so many hits on the US Billboard and everywhere. And I don't really know.
I can tell you one of the reasons why, but carry on.
We were talking about it, that our culture, the music culture, and Johan was talking about the minors and the majors and how it changed.
yeah, we have a word. We have a word in Swedish called vemod. And
say it again.
Vemod. V-E-M-O-D.
Vemod.
And it's a very great word because it's the mix of happy and sad at the same time. And melodically, you can almost think of it as a lot of Swedish folk songs. They have this feeling of and if you think of that, take that, and it turns into like a Max Martin Backstreet Boys song. Bye bye bye. So it's a lot of like you take from what we've grown up with.
Wow, that's great, Johan. Can you do it again?
It's just I think it's like it's in the water. I mean, yeah, birth water almost. It's like it comes from our heritage of singing those songs at midsummer. Our traditional like ways in general. We have these songs and we treasure them very much.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about this incredible country, Sweden, in music. Some years ago, nearly 3 decades ago, they brought out a rule that at all Swedish high schools, if you are at a Swedish high school, you have to learn a musical instrument. Now think about it. Which of your high schools have a situation where you have to learn a musical instrument? But think of how that trains people to think melodically, to think about lyrically. It's an incredible way, and that...
I don't think there's any country in the world that has more recorders sitting on shelf in all types of elementary schools, because that was like the main thing. If you didn't play the piano, they were like, you pick up the recorder, because it's a little flute that you can bring with you.
And now you know what this has done? It's made Sweden in the top 4 of countries that export music. So think about it. 200 countries in the world, maybe 205. And of the top 4, so it's the United States, the UK, what comes third? I think maybe Korea. No, Korea's, yeah. But
we can say that we're on number 3 instead.
Or number 1.
My number 1. But Sweden is the 4th biggest exporter of songs. So creatively, what an incredible environment. And Iggy, you take it for granted that, well, this is just what you do. You try and create hits. And of course, when you were growing up and heard some of the songs by Bjorn Ulvaeus and Benny Andersson, the two males in ABBA, but listening to the chorus, and of course Stig Andersson, who was their manager and publisher, some of the songs of that ABBA, the ABBA choruses, but you think of it in a modern context. You're not ABBA, that was a long time ago, but still, the rule to come up with an incredible chorus, great verses, lyrics that really make a meaning in people's lives.
Because what ABBA did also is a lot comes back from Mozart, a lot comes back from Karl Orff. You know, there is a lot of
Karl
things.
Orff is a Swedish composer.
Is he German? But he did Carmina Burana, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Semper crashes bum bum ersa future plangi ho 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 si. Oh, you don't know?
What a
The
voice.
one you see in all the movies.
Let's
Carmina
sign him up. Yeah.
But so I would say like we all have they have a lot of things that come from other places, and then
Right.
so the heritage always comes or derives from somewhere else, I think.
Of course. Well, that's stealing is an important thing to do.
Very much.
But steal in a good way.
I would say I was born in the end of the 60s, so the songs that I heard on radio in the 70s, when I was like 5 years in 75, then those melodies are still, it sounded, if we were listen to them now, it sounds really like, not awful, but it's not the same productions ever. But the melodies, is like, they are still going.
Right.
So if you like Max Martin and Payphone.
Payphone, good.
It is like a Swedish old song from the 70s, but in a new, new clothes. The drums, everything is like, and it's the same. If we do songs for Indonesia, we use our melodies. We know what we've been raised with, and we just pack it together with the artist.
You know what you might not know about Sweden, in the summertime, Swedish summers are incredible because, of course, the sun only sets at like 2 or 3 in the morning and then rises again at about 5 in the morning. But there's a great tradition in Sweden of what they call the folk parks, where people go to spend the summer days and evenings, and they have bands and artists playing in the folk parks, correct?
Very correct.
Now, I don't know whether you did that.
I know.
No, you didn't, but it's a way in which music really gets tattooed into people's thinking in an incredible way.
Also the work ethic.
Yeah.
I would say that Swedes, they go up in the morning, they work hard, they deliver in time, there's a respect for other people.
And I think it's also the fact that Swedes, it doesn't have to be like the work ethic always, because I don't want to put like, oh, we're so great. It's not that, but it's just that I think the Swede in general likes to have the rules. You know, work you're doing from 9 to 5, or 11 to 6 or whatever. So, because in the evening it's dark and we want to go home or we want to be with our families. It's a completely different environment than if you go to America or LA, when it's like there's a different tempo in Sweden.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we cherish our evenings and we prefer to work during normal work hours. And I think that applies to most people. And it's rarely, if you hear people work late, I mean, there is absolutely a few, but we're actually not that many, especially not at the Kennel, that do that. So mostly we work normal office hours, and we try to get as much. Also, when you limit yourself to a certain amount of hours, you have limitations, and I love limitations.
So Shakira, here's a question for you. When you first started working with Johan and with Iggy, just give us a sense of how did they communicate to you what they wanted you to do with one of their songs?
Okay, so I remember Johan said, "Okay, what's the vibe today?
What's the vibe
what's
today?
the vibe today?" It's just that casual, and that, you know, like we connect and we talk a lot before the session as well. And yeah, so I said, "Oh yeah, I just broke up." So like, it's just that simple to like pour it to our songs, you know. And it's so easy to work with you as well, to work with John, to work with Hugo, with Josh, with anyone from Kennel.
Because you've got a big group, a good team. How many people in the studio team?
When we did the session, I think we were only 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was you, me, and Hugo.
3.
But then we have a team around us. We have
Yeah.
label people who walks around, and somewhere in the studio we have camera teams. But we kind of close that off.
Yeah.
Like it's when we're in that moment, we are only in our heads. I
Yeah.
If Shakira says to you, hey, I just woke up, do you say, I just woke up, da 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 da?
Yeah, exactly. And I say, I'm sleepy, pee, 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 snore. And then it's it.
We also found that chorus pretty quick, right?
Yeah, I think so.
With Hugo, and I still hear your voice, I don't know what you're saying. It's really quick
So nice.
for us to find that.
So I don't know what you think, but just hearing the way that this creativity flows like syrup out of it, or rubber out of a tree, is just incredible. The way that this is the way that songs get shaped. And if you think of some of the great songwriters, obviously from Sweden, great tradition, but in today's modern world, and particularly in Asia, of how there's so much competition. Every day on Spotify, they add 135,000 new songs, Monday to Friday, to that streaming platform. So that's 750,000 a week, 3 million a month. How is your song going to rise above the clutter? How do you think?
I mean, it's all about standing out, of course, but it's also important to have your team. So we know that you can be the best writer in the world, and being alone and doing everything alone and just, okay, I'm just gonna put this out on Spotify. It is competitive. It's super hard. And I'm not the best expert to talk on how algorithms work. I don't know too much about that. But, I mean, Iggy, you know more about the business side on putting out songs and strategies and everything. But for us, the only thing we can do is just try to be as interesting as possible.
Iggy, what do you say to that?
No, I don't know much about how they pick songs or what's works in that way. But we're always trying to make it interesting, make it new. If there's something that sounds similar to something else, then you're too late. You need to think about what's going to be on the charts in 3 months, or 6 months. But I will also say, like, now we're talking about Johan and me, but there are 40 writers at the Kennel, and I would say that
40 writers.
40 writers. All of them are as good as, or close to, as Johan.
Yeah, because you play, how many instruments do you play?
Oh, I don't know.
Trumpet,
Trumpet,
guitar,
saxophone,
piano,
flute,
saxophone.
guitar, piano, drum, bass, sings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I play a lot. But I'm not an expert in any, but I'd say like I was majoring on guitar, played a lot of jazz.
But if there's something you don't know, then you learn in 3
I pick
days.
it up. Yeah, I have a mission to learn one new instrument every year. So last year, like the year before, I played like Scruggs-style banjo, a bluegrass banjo. So I was doing a country record, so I needed to play banjo because there was no great banjo players, and I didn't want to spend money on banjo. So I learned to play.
And who are your influences as songwriters or as producers? Which producers have you been kind of keeping tabs on to say, man, I know I can do better than that, or man, I can come up with a great melody? Is there anyone that you can think of that is someone that you really respect?
We have some old artists in the 70s that meant a lot for us.
Right.
And actually Max Martin said the same.
I mean, looking at the Beatles and George Martin and everything is obviously incredible. And but it's more like from song to song, really. Yeah, I couldn't pick one. Yeah, but I'm inspired by songs and not by the people per se. It's more about, even when I listen, I don't often listen to a whole album, but I love to listen to.
You've hit the nail right on the thumb, because it's exactly that. It's the song, it's the chorus, it's the structure, it's the melody, so that someone can hear that melody and it registers very quickly. Wow, this is really such an interesting observation into the process, How does one come up with writing 150 to 200 #1 songs? I mean, just think about it. How long it takes to do that. The expertise, the natural talent, the musical vibe, the feel. I mean, these are very hard to do. And you do it as if it's, you wake up in the morning and just woke up, incredible.
But I would
It's
say,
also the only thing we do.
no, I would say we are releasing about between 200 and 300 songs every year. So the A&Rs who's pitching the songs are doing a fantastic job. The opportunity to have artists in Sweden, that's incredible. And all of us are happy to travel. And there are so many countries to visit, and there are so many talents. And like you said, Indonesia is almost as big in population as the US. How could no one have seen that or started?
So this is a call out. You're interested in meeting people that would want to come and work with you so that you can come up with some songs that could create new talent, new hits, extend someone's career. You're up for doing it across Asia and anywhere in the world, but specifically your knowledge of Asia, the fact that you've had so much success shows that you are ready to rock, as they used to say in the band, the Scorpions.
We are.
Yes.
They're ready to rock.
We're also trying to have good people among us. We were talking about that sometimes we get requests every day from producers or writers who wants to join the Kennel. And some of them are really established and have had lots of hits, and it feels like easy money. But it's not worth it if they are douchebags. If you're going to have a problem in a session, if you have someone who's abusing someone, it's just going to continue, and it's just not worth it.
It's going to cost you way more in the long run.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we've been beaten by the clock, but not by the interest of everybody in this room. But the Kennel, an incredible grouping of two great professionals. Iggy, this is just so great that you came to All That Matters. Johan, just thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And Shakira, for the way that you explain the way that these two great individuals, great creatives work. So ladies and gentlemen, please, a warm round of applause to this trio of great creatives.